Okay, so for the second part, the question says, okay, how many different ways are there for these groups to sit around the table if the nindroids and the flood infection spores all want to sit next to each other?
Well,
Okay, so now this is a trickier question.
well, I'm gonna look at groups like this. So we can say all the nindroids are one part of one group. I'll just use this person to represent it.
Okay,
And all of these are part of another group.
so what are those things called?
The flood infection spores.
Okay, so we
They're
have,
part of another group.
all right,
And, well, they have to sit around a table like this. And if you rotate it, that's still the same.
okay,
Yeah.
So that's the only thing you can do.
But then you have
Yeah, inside the group,
five people, so there's really
5 people?
no 5 infection spores.
5 infection spores.
'cause
We ought to be precise when we're talking about the infection spores,
in each
right?
group, it doesn't say where they have to sit. So in each group, there's different arrangements for where they can sit.
Right, so the nindroids are all different from each other, right? So this arrangement and this arrangement are in fact different.
Yeah, and so are the infection spores.
Yeah, now actually, how did we end up with 6
Yeah.
infection spores? I hope we didn't have 6 in the last video. That's the problem with infection spores, is they tend to keep growing.
Well,
Okay.
so that means there's 120 ways to reposition the group. There's 120 ways to position it.
But what do you mean? by
There's
that?
120 ways to move all the infection spores around if they're all different.
Ah, I
To
see.
move
So like
them
this
around
is this
inside the group.
this might be like Bob and this might be Sally,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
You can move them around.
if we flip them, that's a different
Arrange.
arrangement of infection spores.
So you've got 120 different arrangements for the infection spores,
Uh-huh.
times 120 different arrangements for the nindroids. So that is 14,400.
Okay.
You can do 12 times 12 is 144, and then you just add 2 zeros.
Very good. Very good. All right. An alternate way of thinking about this one is that we have to pick out of the 10 seats. Can I have the mark? So let's say we picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We picked those 5 in a row for the nindroids to sit in. And that forces the 5 here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And you can see that none of these rotations are the same
Yeah.
as each other here. Here we don't have the rotations being the same. Because if I rotate this at all, whoever I put here is always somewhere else.
They're always somewhere else. Does that mean all the seats are different?
Now, what do you think?
So if you move them all the rotations will be the same.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I probably wasn't saying that exactly. The rotations are all the same,
Yeah.
right? There's 10 rotations that are the same here. So I'm just counting this one. Okay, so I picked this one and I picked this one.
And then
Does that make sense, or have I
Yeah.
not said this well enough?
then you can rearrange these.
So I can rearrange. So for this setup, I've got 5 factorial ways to arrange this, 5 factorial ways to arrange that, and that gives me the
No.
120 times 120.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, my extra explanation here may have been more confusing than without it. But there we go, 14,400. Okay?
Okay.